Hey guys, what's up? This is Alex 2K. This is going to be a series of short tutorials just explaining basic properties of lights, and exponentially we'll start adding up and adding up and adding up so that eventually you are able to get a photorealistic render. Um, Before I start talking about lights, there's a particular item I want to touch up on, which is a difference between direct lighting and indirect lighting. Let's make a render right now. I just have a standard spotlight here, and I'm just gonna make a render here. And by default, usually your render is gonna look like this. That's a standard default render. No shadows and direct lighting. Direct lighting means that there is no bounce. Indirect lighting means that there's a computation for bounce lights. So since I'm talking about that right now, I'm going to start just by giving some shadows to this ray trace shadows to this particular spotlight, and there you go. So now you have shadows. So it's a little bit more real. Let's I'm going to actually take them off, make a render, keep that image, and use ray trace shadows and render. So that's a default render. Now you have shadows, so that's direct lighting with shadows. Now I'm gonna activate final gather, and that's only so that you can see what happens. Final gather computes indirect lighting. So original render with shadows, and this would be with indirect lighting. So you can see the difference. So in this case we are computing direct and indirect lighting. Direct lighting meaning that, and indirect lighting, which is all the extra bounce that happens on light. And final gather is one way to achieve that. Another way to achieve indirect lighting is through global illumination. Now, because I'm not gonna get in detail on that until later on, I'm just gonna go ahead and do what I need to do to make sure that my light works with global illumination. So it's a little bit darker. Let's let me actually take off that, and just for the sake of clarity I'm going to take off that and activate final gather. So this would be the first method of indirect lighting, which is via final gathering. Keep that image. So original with shadows, direct lighting, indirect lighting via final gather. Now let me uncheck that, check global illumination, check emit photons here. I'm going to increase this intensity to a bigger amount just to have a clearer idea. So there you go. That's another method of indirect lighting, which is with photons and global illumination. So again, just to overview that main topic, that would be direct lighting with no shadows. That is direct lighting with shadows. This is direct lighting with shadows plus indirect lighting thanks to final gather, and this is direct lighting with shadows plus indirect lighting with global illumination, which are photons. Alright, so I just want to get that out of the way, and the next tutorial will actually begin to talk about the properties of the spotlight. Alright, bye.